Welcome to my worst books of 2022, where I'm just gonna be shitting on books for a little bit here.
What did he say?
Today, I'm gonna talk to you about the 6 books that I read in 2022 that I have deemed the worst. I never wanna read these again. If I owned them, I'm unhauling them. Sayonara. Never want to see them again. Never want to think about them again. They sucked. These are all like 1, 2-star reads, but mostly like 1 and 1.5. We're just gonna jump right into it because I don't want to waste any time introducing this because y'all want the good stuff. So let's get to the good stuff. We're gonna start this off with a bit of a hot take, and we're gonna go with Twisted Love by Anna Huang, the bane of my existence. So this book follows our main character Alex, who is forced to look after his best friend's sister named Ava. So in this book, he's basically keeping tabs on her while Ava's brother is away, and we can say a romance develops. This book like literally was the bane of my existence. I never even like want to think about the normal looking cover that I put here, or like the traditional romance cover that's got the creepy looking guy on the front with the creepy eyes who's doing the white person stare. So we've got a brooding rich guy who's got a big ego and thinks he's above everyone else, and he's kind of got this like odd fixation on keeping tabs on Ava, but like doesn't like her, but is being like offhandedly creepy, and he just is like absolutely taking over her life in a sense, and it was just awful. And then they like try and make it up with these steamy sex scenes, which were horribly written. I'm not gonna yuck someone else's yum here, but like the dirty talking in this like tried so hard to be sexy, and it was just cringy to the highest degree. I never want to read this again. I never want to think about this again. I have never been so repulsed by dirty talk in my life. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and be like, I love smutty books and this one just didn't do it for me. I'm typically not a big fan of like smut heavy books. This one though just really took the cake for crappy books. And it's not even the worst one. Then we have Hide by Kirsten White. This one I have like less strong feelings about. I think I gave this one a 2-star. This is a horror book in which I think 14 teenagers get locked in this abandoned amusement park, and there's something that's killing each of them every single day. And it's gonna end up with one sole victor to this. So their goal is to play a game of hide and seek and be absolutely quiet. It's like, I wanna say it's like Bird Box. That's the kind of vibe I get. I've never seen that, but basically they just have to keep silent and hide away so that whatever is killing these other people doesn't get them. The plot twist in this just didn't deliver. There were far too many characters written about in the third person. It tried to get you attached to the characters like right before they were gonna die. It became very clear, but that really took away from the plot as a whole, because you're getting like all of this detail about this one character and then they immediately die, so like they're pointless. Why do I need to even know that now? It's trying to follow one main character who I can't even remember the name of, but that kind of just gets overshadowed by the dumping of all these other characters and the history of why they do it and the lore of the theme park and all of this crap. The map at the beginning was really pretty, but I would have loved a whole lot more intrigue and some more details about this park, and maybe building up some suspense as to why these characters are dying. It was incredibly short, which left a lot to be desired in terms of the world building. The atmosphere was really cool to think about an abandoned themed park, but honestly, most of the fantastic world building was done by my imagination, because it definitely wasn't done by the author on the page. This book makes a lot of sense if you're thinking about like a book that should be adapted, and it kind of feels like a movie pitch. It wasn't a great book. I never want to read it again, and I won't be recommending it to anyone. For this to be one of my first adventures into the horror genre, it really, I think, did the genre a disservice, and so I'm not cutting out horror as a whole, but I am cutting out this horror because it sucks. We have The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, or as I quoted it to Whitney, The 7.5 Chapters of Fat Phobia. This follows our main character, who again, can't remember the name of. I can't remember the name of any of these characters because I could not care less. And each day he wakes up in a new body and discovers another clue as to why Evelyn Hardcastle has died. And at the end, we're gonna get the resolution, hopefully, of why Evelyn Hardcastle has died, and he's supposed to solve this mystery using each new body as a different perspective and a way to solve the murder, whatever. My biggest gripe with this, as I mentioned, was the fat phobia. I think on the second or third day, he wakes up in a larger person's body. He talks about how disgusting it is to be trapped in this fat person's body and uses so many horrible things and talks about how miserable he is lumbering around in this large body. Unfortunately, even in the later chapters where he's in an older person's body or a young person's body, an able-bodied person, a disabled, whatever, he's constantly complaining about how, oh, this body sucks, but at least I'm not in that fat body from before. And it just sucked. Hopefully you'd think that the ending is gonna make up for it, and for me it didn't. And I wish I would have just DNF'd it, because this was the worst experience I had reading a mystery thriller this whole year. And I read a lot. This mystery, boring. Hated it. Immediate unhaul. Then we have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, and this is gonna be a hot take for a lot of you people out there, and I'm sorry, but I'm not. This follows our main characters, B and Levi, and B is like a brain scientist, a neuroscientist, something of the sort, dealing with the brain, gets a job or an internship at NASA where she's having to work with Levi. They have previous work-related tension. This would have been fine for me, except it felt like there was an info dump of neuroscience on top of a really boring, repeated romance. It's become very clear that with every Ali Hazelwood that I read, she hasn't really expanded on her writing, and she's kind of copying and pasting the same characters, the same language, the same trope, and just putting them to a new character or a new plotline that's mildly different. Like this one takes place in the winter, or this one she's a neuroscientist, or this one they're a professor and a student. And it's just the same thing repeated over and over again. We had a hit with the love hypothesis, let's put that there, try something different. But we can't seem to do that. He's big, she's small. We get it. Move along. I had to DNF this because the romance wasn't there for me. It literally felt like copy and paste of literally everything she's written prior, but also just the overly info dumped neuroscience was exhausting for me, and I could not continue. I'm gonna mention this one really quick. This is Real Men Knit. I rated this 1 star. I said that the characters had no chemistry. It was boring. It was like two brick walls talking to each other. I read this really early on in the year. I really don't remember what it's about, and I don't really care to look up the synopsis. And if I said it was like two brick walls talking to each other, that's all you really need to know. But finally, the moment you've been waiting for, my worst book of the year, Ramon and Julieta. As the title presents itself, this is a Romeo and Juliet retelling. It features Mexican main characters, I want to say. Julieta's family owns this like taco shop where they make these little street tacos, and Ramon is a partial owner of a Taco Bell-esque chain restaurant where they make tacos, but they kind of suck. And Ramon is secretly trying to buy out Julieta's restaurant. This book was literally just romanticizing gentrification, and it sucked. Ramon could not stop seeing Julieta sexually. These characters had the potential for so much chemistry and so much development with each other, and they failed to deliver on any of it. He's basically trying to erase his own culture in a neighborhood in which Julieta lives. He's gentrifying his own culture. Like, it was shocking. Howdy pals, editing Shelby here to say that I am not unfamiliar with the fact that this does happen where people do gentrify their own cultures. But I guess in this particular instance, it was weird for me to see because this is supposed to be our romantic love interest and we're supposed to be rooting for him. And how can I root for someone who is literally gentrifying the culture of his romantic partner? It just didn't sit right. It didn't work. Hopefully that made sense. And I assume the over-sexual aspects of this was the author trying to build some sexual tension between the characters. I was just like gagging. It was gross. It was weird. I didn't like it. It came off as predatory in a way, and not in the sense of like it was weird or illegal, but in the sense that he was just constantly looking at her in a sexual way and couldn't see her as a person beyond just her body. There was a quote in my review that I mentioned, Julieta was glad she found a man who thought her curves were attractive. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I sincerely never want to think about these books again. I wish I could give you like an in-depth analysis as to why I hated any of them, but that would take way too much time from me, and I'm not willing to spend any more energy on these books. But y'all love knowing about the worst books of the year, and these are mine. Obviously, all readers' opinions are valid. If one of these was your favorite books, I personally don't see why, but I'm so happy for you. Unless it's Ramon and Juliet, I really don't see that one, but that's okay. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see the flip side to this video, I did film a best books of 2022, so if you want to see me rave about books that I love, basically the opposite of what happened here, the link will be in the description, or I can try and remember to put a card wherever the cards go in one of those corners. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Happy reading!